All right, so welcome everybody to the KEPServerEX version 6.2 release webinar. I am Joanne Bacharach, your moderator for today and the Training Delivery Manager for Kepware, and happy to have you with us on the line. Presenting with me today is Tom Gaudet, our Product Manager for Kepware, and he will be walking us through the features of the version, and then I'll be doing some demos. Before we begin, just wanted to let everybody know you will receive an email with not only the PDF of the slides, but a link to this webinar recording. If you don't get that, feel free to contact training@kepware.com. We can send you the link. And anybody who's registered will get that email. Also, it'll be posted up on our YouTube page in case you can't find the email or it gets blocked or something, along with all of our other webinar recordings from the past. And if you're interested in what's upcoming with webinars or with Kepware training, you want to know more information after this webinar concludes, you can follow us on LinkedIn as well as visit our training page on the website. All right, so we're going to pepper in a few poll questions to get you awake and interacting with us depending on where you are today. So our first question, I just want to see who on the line has experience with KEPServerEX. So rate your experience from 1 to 5, 1 being none, little to none, and 5 being you consider yourself an expert. So go ahead and answer that poll real quick, and that'll give us a good idea of who we're speaking with on the line here and what your experience level is. So go ahead and vote. I'll leave that open for a few more seconds. All right, great. Looks like a lot of you are voting. Thank you for doing that. And I'll close that out now, share that with you. So it looks like we got a nice bell curve going. Most of you fall in the middle, some beginners on the line and some experts, which is pretty much what we expect. So thanks for answering that poll question. We'll have a couple more throughout the webinar just to keep you, again, engaged and awake. And without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Tom Gaudet.
Thank you very much, Joanne. I appreciate the introduction, and I look forward to sharing a lot of information and seeing some demos from you here in a few minutes. We've got the agenda up for you, and I really just want to jump into things and start off with our first topic, and we'll get through all of these this hour. And the first piece, of course, is the OPC certification. With version 6, Kepware rewrote the core OPC server functionality as well as the OPC UA client driver. And according to the OPC Foundation standards, it is necessary to recertify major version updates. I had the pleasure of hand-delivering KEPServerEX deep into the Sonoran Desert of Arizona. Well, actually it was kind of the edge of the desert, to the North American OPC Foundation test lab. And about a week later, KEPServerEX version 6 was certified as an OPC UA standard server and generic client. It's notable that we use the OPC Foundation compliance test tools to self-test with each and every release, passing compliance, interoperability, robustness, usability, and resource efficiency testing. These efforts are our way of ensuring that you can rely on the quality standards of KEPServerEX. Next up is a brand new utility shipping with KEPServerEX version 6.2, made specifically for customers using Siemens devices programmed with TIA Portal. In late 2012, Siemens released their new programming software, TIA Portal, or Totally Integrated Automation. TIA Portal replaced the traditional Step 7 programming software, and Siemens has been marketing TIA Portal to all S7 300 and 400 users since. The S7 1200 and 1500 are only programmable via the TIA Portal. The Siemens TCP/IP Ethernet driver for KEPServerEX allows users to automatically generate all of the tags in their Step 7 project by uploading a Step 7 project file to the driver. However, if users are programming the controllers in the TIA Portal, they are not able to upload the TIA Portal project file to the driver, and prior to this release, would need to manually create tags. This new utility allows users to upload their TIA Portal project search for the specific tags needed, and then export a file with only those tags. This file can then be uploaded to the SIEMENS TCP/IP Ethernet driver, greatly reducing KEPServerEX configuration time. The TIA Portal Exporter utility can collect tag addresses from SIEMENS S7, 300, 400, 1200, and 1500s. For the 3 and 400s, the addressing works with their standard configuration. The 12 and 1500s need to be in the legacy put-get mode to enable absolute addressing because by default they are set to symbolic mode. For the S7 1500s with firmware version 2.0 or higher, we recommend enabling the available OPC UA communication and accessing it with the OPC UA client driver for KEPServerEX. This configuration provides better performance by leveraging the 1500 symbolic addresses. As mentioned during the 6.1 release of KEPServerEX, customers can utilize the new SIEMENS Plus suite to communicate to all of their SIEMENS devices. The TIA Portal Exporter utility leverages the openness API built into TIA Portal and is compatible with version 13 and 14 prior to Service Pack 1. And next up, I believe we have a poll question. And that poll is, do you currently use SIEMENS TIA Portal? And we'll bring up that question for you to vote here.
Great. So we have the poll open now. It should be up on your screen and you can click. So just give me an idea, or us an idea of whether you actually use TIA Portal currently. And then we'll move into the demo here after Tom's great presentation.
There's more to come.
Okay, great. So do you use the TIA Portal, leaving that open for a few more seconds? Yes or no, or maybe you're not sure. All right, I'm going to close that out, share the results with you. So it looks like majority of you know, which was probably, expected, but SIEMENS is a very popular, obviously, controller brand, PLC brand. So it looks like a quarter of you say yes, you are. So that's great. And hopefully this functionality will be quite useful to you. So let's move on to the demo portion of the TIA Portal exporter here. So I'll just briefly show you how this works. Now we do have to have this utility installed on the same system as the TIA Portal software. I'm going to go to the Start menu and All Programs, and if I go into the Kepware folder and Utilities, I can see that there's this TIA Exporter Installer folder here. If I open that up, there's the executable. So I can pull that off the machine where my Kepware install may reside and put it on the machine where I have TIA Portal, or I can install the full Kepware install where the TIA Portal is, however I decide to do that. We're not going to go through the install now, but we do have the it already installed on this computer, and I have the little icon pinned to my taskbar here. So I'm going to go ahead and open that, and it's a fairly simple UI here, where again it's going to connect to that openness API as Tom stated. So I'm going to go open project file. So I want to open any of my SIEMENS project files that I have stored locally on this machine. Say open there, and then through that API it's going to communicate with the TIA Portal and load in the different symbols and data blocks basically that I'll need, that I'll want to potentially export from the TIA Portal as items and import those into KEPServerEX. Again, if you have any questions on the content we're presenting, you can type that into your questions pane, and we will do our best to answer those.
Some of you may be wondering why this takes a little bit longer, and the openness API requires that an instance of the TIA Portal be started in the background. So when we make that call, it takes a little while for that instance to spin up for us to start communicating with it.
All right, and there we go. So here are a couple of things. We have a drop-down. If I had multiple PLCs configured in that project file, then I could select the different PLC programs that I had configured. Right now we only have one, so it's just PLC 1. And then here you'll see we have the different data blocks with their user-defined types available for selection. So here I have UDT1, data block 2, UDT1 with a bunch of elements. And then I actually have some other things here. I have this element 15, which is what we would consider a nested element. So one of the engineering hurdles we had was how to process nested elements like this that were nested within a nest sort of thing. So a kind of deep hierarchy. And you can see how that's handled here with all the elements under element 15 nested and represented below. So I'm going to select some of these tags for import to Kepware. I'm just holding the control key and selecting some different items, some different data blocks. And we'll see how this nesting is handled and how these items are represented as tags within the server. I'm going to export to file and export that just to my desktop. It's saved in this TIA portal exporter file.tpe format, which is a proprietary format that's specific to Kepware software, Kepware products. So it's a binary file that you'll only be able to open through KEPServerEX. So once I have that file generated on my desktop right there, I'm just going to start up my KEPServerEX and open the config window. And I already have a Siemens channel and device defined. So if I get into the device properties here, first thing I'm going to do is go into my tag import options, and you'll see that I have the option to either do TIA and import that export file, or in earlier versions of Kepware software we already have the ability to import from Step 7 project files. Obviously, since I'm demoing the TIA exporter file, I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to choose my test.tpe and say OK, or apply, and then I'm going to get into tag generation and just click this create tag link there, and that'll begin automatically creating those tags from that Siemens TPE file. So if I say OK here, we see that those tags were processed. It completed the automatic tag generation. And so if we click on the different levels here, you'll see there's some tags that are in this root data block 2. And then here's how the nested elements are represented. We have different elements nesting under here. So if we click on these different elements, you'll see some deep nesting happening there all the way down to the last element. So that's how it works. And hopefully that'll be very useful for you, for those of you using Siemens devices. Great, so I'm going to flip it back over to Tom here to continue with the rest of our presentation.
Thank you very much, Joanne. So next up on our list of enhancements for version 6.2 is configuration support for the EFM exporter. The EFM, or electronic flow meter exporter, allows customers to gather historical flow measurement data from remote meters. Adding this plug-in to the configuration API functionality enhances customers' ability to configure and modify KEPServerEX projects across their system. In addition to enabling programmatic create, read, update, and delete, or CRUD operations for pull groups and exporters, this work also provides the ability to control which users have permission to modify those specific objects. With configuration API support of the EFM exporter plugin, Kepware continues to extend the programmatic configuration functionality for KEPServerEX customers, enabling them to create custom applications that leverage the REST calls or extend their SCADA systems to fully manage and control their operations. Also included with version 6.2 are a couple driver updates. First is support for 2 new devices from Mitsubishi, the IQR and the IQF. Support for these devices includes their extended address ranges as well as the data types. Additionally, our efforts to support CODESYS protocol has provided new functionality for version 6.2. CODESYS version 3 is now fully supported, including automatic tag generation, gateway access, and security implemented by user credentials. Version 2.3 was also enhanced to support gateway access and offline tag generation via a symbol file import for those devices that did not support symbol file storage. We're very excited to round out our CODESYS driver with this new functionality. Although CODESYS usage is concentrated primarily in Europe, these PLCs are used globally. CODESYS has a significant adoption in the pharmaceutical, food and beverage, and packaging verticals, but are also used across industries. With over 150 different device manufacturers utilizing the CODESYS runtime, customers with these devices now can access their data using KEPServerEX version 6.2. Last on our list of enhancements for version 6.2 is some enhanced THINGWORX functionality. For those of you that are not aware, I want to start off with some terms that THINGWORX uses to represent different functionality when communicating to KEPServerEX. The industrial gateway, the industrial thing, and the industrial thing shape are all terms that are used within the platform for different functions. I'm going to leave these here for you to take a quick glance at because Joanne's going to show some of that functionality in her demo. So an extremely useful addition to the THINGWORX platform provided by KEPServerEX version 6.2 is the new entity group industrial connections. Here you can view, save, and manage multiple KEPServer instances connected to the THINGWORX platform. One request that we often receive is to be able to see what tags are referenced on a particular KEPServerEX instance. Now with the bound tags view, you can not only see what tags are in use, but also the thing or asset that they are bound to. The combination of KEPServerEX 6.2 and THINGWORX 8.0 have also brought dynamic tag addressing to the THINGWORX platform, allowing you to add tag references on the fly. We also recognize that many of our customers interested in using THINGWORX functionality have large projects in their controllers and in KEPServerEX. And to help with THINGWORX configuration, we added CSV import functionality that will automatically create things and bind tags to properties, allowing for faster configuration. CSV import is an extension available on the THINGWORX marketplace. We've also added a new push type to the THINGWORX interface called deadband, and does exactly what you would expect deadband to do in an industrial environment. This was another common ask, and we are happy to provide it. Another item KEPServerEX users are always interested in is diagnostics. So we've added some services as well as some properties on both the industrial gateway and any associated thing to provide you with diagnostic information. I think last up here we have another quick poll question before Joanne is going to take us through a demo of some of the new KEPServerEX 6.2 and THINGWORX 8.0 combined functionality.
Thanks, Tom. So I'm going to go ahead and launch another poll question here. And this has to do with THINGWORX. So THINGWORX platform, we're continuing, as Tom has clearly pointed out, we're continuing our integration and our enhancements to interact with that THINGWORX IoT platform. So would you be interested in using this in your current environment? Perhaps you have an IoT initiative, you want to develop your own custom IoT applications. Maybe you want something out of the box. OOTB stands for out of the box. And you want some role-based applications that you can just, install real easy, get set up, and be done with, as opposed to customizing something. Perhaps in addition to all that, you'd also like to leverage some of the advanced features of the IoT platform, which we haven't discussed here, but there's things like machine learning, anomaly detection, analytics. Perhaps there's something else you have in mind. So go ahead and answer those questions. It's multiple select, so you can choose as many apply to you. And I'll leave that poll open for a few more moments. So go ahead and vote if you can. Are you interested in using the THINGWORX IoT platform in your current environment? All right, so I'm going to close that out, share the poll. So it looks like some of you said no, about a little under half said no, but it looks like the rest of you, so majority who answered, said yes in some way you would like to. So either to develop your own custom IoT application or for things like machine learning, anomaly detection, and analytics. So that is great to see, and I'm happy that some of you can see the value in that platform and are excited about using it. Just to give you some further information, there's plenty of tutorials and classes you can take online to get started with the THINGWORX platform, and also you can contact us if you want to test it out, and we have videos up on our website as well that show you some examples of how it can be used if you're interested in learning more. For my demo, I'm just going to show you the things Tom talked about and more kind of nitty-gritty on the Kepware side, how that connection to the platform is made and what enhancements have been made there. So let me hide this poll. And you should be able to see my THINGWORX, what's called THINGWORX Composer here, which is just a web-based UI. So the first thing that's important when creating the connection to THINGWORX is you create an application key for security. And so I have my application key already created here called Kepware key. And if I scroll down here, what I'm going to do is take this key and copy it, and that's going to be an important piece of information that I'm going to need when I go to enter the information in the Kepware platform. So now back in the Kepware UI here, I've opened up the Kepware configuration. I'm going to get into project properties, and you'll see there's a THINGWORX interface option, and that application key I copied from THINGWORX I would enter here, and that's going to provide some security for me in via that always-on connection that I have with the THINGWORX platform. Also important to enter the host name and the port I'm going to go through. It's going to be a WebSocket connection. Ideally, this wouldn't be a local instance. This would be something hosted in the cloud. And then the default for things like trust self-signed certificates, trust all certificates, and disable encryption, the default for this is these are all set to no, so for a higher security mode. But for the demo, just to make things easier, I set these to yes for now. And then the next, besides the application key and these host and port settings, the next most important thing here is just getting this thing name. So you'll need to take that thing name and you'll need to match it when you go back to THINGWORX to the THINGWORX web UI to be able to connect to the server. So that's really all I need to do. It's pretty straightforward in project properties here on how to set up that THINGWORX connection. If I go back to my THINGWORX Composer, you'll see I already have KEPServerEX ABC set up here. And again, this was something that was new in THINGWORX 7.4, so I'm not going to go through creating what's called this industrial gateway. You can reference that in our 7.4 or 6.1 release webinar, so KEPServerEX 6.1. And you see here that there's an industrial gateway template that I'm using, which Tom mentioned earlier, and I'm connected to my KEPServerEX. And if I can actually verify that if I go into my drop-down here where it says general information, for this new industrial gateway object in THINGWORX, there's this discover option, and I can actually browse through my server and see all the data I have available there. I can select tags, I can select bind to new entity to bind them to something that's going to represent an asset in my THINGWORX platform, and again that was all new in 6.1, so you can see that demo in 6.1. One of the new things in 6.2, however, is this bound tags view. So here I can go into bound tags and I can see everything that's streaming through my industrial gateway in the THINGWORX platform coming from KEPServerEX and what object in the platform or entity or thing in the platform it's tied to. So I have a vibration sensor and a couple tags tied to it. I have a generator that I've tied a tag to, a conveyor belt I'm representing in my platform that I've tied some data to, and so on. And I get little cute, thumbs up, thumbs down here to let me know, is the data good coming through or is it bad? And I have an example of just an invalid tag that I've put in here to show, what that looks like if it's invalid. And then if I go into services here, first of all, I'm going to copy this invalid name. If I go into services, I can actually see more details about the items coming through my gateway by doing this get diagnostic digest, executing that service. So if I put in my invalid tag address here and make sure there's no spaces at the front, yeah, we're good, and execute that, you'll see, okay, you know, it's coming through, it's bad quality, and I don't get much other data because that's actually an invalid, versus if I put in a valid tag reference here and execute that, you'll see more information. So I get the description come through, name, address, and the fact that it's good quality. So that's new in 6.2. So that's the industrial connection coming through our industrial gateway. If I go to something I've already created here, like my torque tool, I can go to properties and alerts, and I see I've already had a couple Modbus registers bound to that. No data is changing, but I can write to those Modbus registers. And I can also edit this. And here I can go down and if I so which actually change the tag address here, and again I'm presented with that same UI, that Discover UI that I saw at the gateway level, but now it's at the tag property level, and say I want to bind a different tag to this property than I had before, I can do that through this browser here, or I can actually choose a dynamic tag and type in a tag name here as long as it's valid, just like you would if you were using an OPC connection and doing a dynamic tag through an OPC connection. So say done, and now accept that, and now if I refresh, you'll see that data should be coming through. And I get the thumbs up and thumbs down here again to show me if it's good quality or bad quality or what have you. All right, I think. Okay, yes. One last thing Tom reminded me here is that if we go back to the Kepware gateway object and we go to properties and alerts, there's some new inherited properties here that are pulling from system tags in the KEPServerEX, and you can see things like active tag count, client count, dropped updates. We consider these, you know, diagnostic information that you can look and see and get just more details on the health of that Kepware connection, that server connection. You know, what's the project name, what product version you're running, if you have any time-limited features running, and so on. So that's a good point. Anything else to highlight there? I think that's it. So that's it for the demo there. Again, tons. We have lots more of features and things to show as far as THINGWORX is concerned that's already been recorded. So that's great. And I think that's it for our presentation. I have one last question, unless you have anything to add on, Tom. I have one last poll question, and that is, are there any of the features or enhancements you've learned about today in KEPServerEX version 2 that you would find useful, that you'd find most useful? So again, it's a multiple choice answer or a multiple select answer, so select whatever you think would be the most compelling to you. If we've mentioned something that I don't have in the list, I only have 5 answers as an option here. I'm limited to 5 answers, so if there's something else you'd find useful, please put that in the chat window or the questions pane and let us know. So OPC Foundation certification, our new TIA portal exporter utility, the Mitsubishi new model support, our CODESYS driver enhancements, or the THINGWORX native interface enhancements. Which of those would you find the most useful? Go ahead and answer that poll if you please. And I'll leave it open for a few more seconds.
Yeah, thank you, Joanne, for the wonderful demo of the enhanced functionality we've brought into THINGWORX from 6.2 and THINGWORX 8.0. I think we scheduled this for an hour. We're really only a half-hour point. So I'm open to a couple minutes of questions and answers if you're interested. Feel free to write something into the question pane. If not much comes through in the next little bit, then we're going to probably end this. And Bob Letcher has asked for some contacts, so we'll definitely reach out there. So I'll give you guys a few minutes to think about any questions you'd like to ask from product management or from the training team here at Kepware.
Great. So I'm going to go ahead and close out this poll now and share that. So it looks like quite a few of you found the OPC Foundation certification exciting and something you can rely on and take to either customers or your team members and say it's certified, yay. And then the THINGWORX native interface was the runner-up there, just ahead of the TIA exporter utility. And we did have someone come in, Adam over chat, say the configuration API for EFM exporter, which is very important for oil and gas customers. So that's great to see. And someone else, David, agreed with the configuration API. That's great. So I'll just pop some resources and contact info up on the screen now. Again, if you want to get further training on Kepware, you can go to our webpage, fill out our training request form. Tons of videos and documentations and demonstrations up on our website in the video page as well as YouTube. You can follow us on LinkedIn for more information, get news and so on. And I do encourage you to look through specifically that video page if you're looking to learn more about THINGWORX and what it's possible to do. I do want to remind people that this has been recorded. We always, for all our webinars, whether you attend or not, so you just have to register, you will get the follow-up email with the recording and the PDF of the slides here. So that's great. And then
so I see that Sinan has asked a question about third-party platforms and being able to have data forwarders to those, such as we did with Splunk. And I'll share a little insight with public on that. What we've seen the market do is the majority of them have moved to either REST or MQTT style connections, including Splunk. Their REST interface to their platform is actually slightly more performant than their traditional connection. We see that from Amazon Web Services to Microsoft Azure. So we're going to continue to maintain those interfaces that we have through the IoT Gateway as our standard for connecting to those types of applications.
Great. So a question from Brian. He's asking if you've added KEPServerEX as an industrial gateway in THINGWORX, can you browse in the tags from THINGWORX when it is hosted offsite in the cloud? The answer is yes. That's facilitated through what's called an always-on connection. So it's just a different type of interface. It differs from OPC, different from REST, but similar type of functionality there where you can browse through and see everything you have available on a remote instance of KEPServerEX, maybe out in the field if you're hosting a system on the cloud. And that's really neat functionality, and that's facilitated through the use of a CSDK that we deploy on the Kepware side for that always-on connection. So, yeah.
Well, it looks like the questions are winding down. I want to thank everybody for joining us today, and I hope that you see some new functionality you're interested in version 6.2. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out either to training or our tech support team as well as our sales team. They can always point you in the right direction for answers to your technical and data questions. So.
Wonderful. Thank you all. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Joanne.